Ban.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Hitbox European Championship here on the Pro Dota English channel. We have a best of 3 between Sqreen Squad and Aspera, the first series of the day, and then the winner of this isn't done yet. They also have to face up against Yellow Submarine, so here's hoping that everything goes smoothly, not like yesterday, but, of course, that's out of our control. This stream is brought to you by Alpha Draft, SteelSeries, and esportgaming.com, so be sure to check them all out. Start a draft, may place a bet, and so on and so forth. I'm Mikelorus, going to be one of your casters for today. Grandis is on the mic as well, and today we have Corrupt Drop Bear doing the stats, so that's all the intel you see popping up there. That'll be him, and it seems like we have ourselves a very slow start to this draft.
Yeah, and a pretty slow start to the game in general. We're starting pretty late. Sqreen Squad did show up quite a bit later than they were supposed to, so they have been docked 30 seconds of reserve time. Already Aspera have eaten 3 of their seconds, and that's pretty interesting to see them consider banning out Lina so early on. But as far as all of the bans are concerned, Bounty Hunter, Lina, Leshrac, and Queen of Pain have been taken out, and Aspera will first pick Tusk, not only a good hero for their own team, but an eye pick, and then Sqreen Squad instantly snag the Winter Wyvern Darkseer combo.
Alright, so most likely this is just going to be what you would imagine, Darkseer offlane, Tusk as well. Wyvern going to that support role, maybe poking a little bit at that mid lane, but Aspera the other day played, man, an amazing Tusk. It was just kind of disgusting how good it was versus alternate. Like, he was there at all the right places, he was holding the TP scrolls and using them, and came in at the perfect time. I don't know how much that was actually planned, how much it was just like, oh, I happened to be here next to my ally with the snowball ready. But I believe it was Afterlife on that, and he just absolutely rocked the last series that Aspera played in, and that's actually what got them here in the first place versus alternate. It is also worth noting that Aspera are working with 1, maybe 2 stand-ins. Oblivion definitely a stand-in. Star, we're not sure who that is.
Yeah, no confirmation as to what his name is, and although Dotabuff says it's always wanna fly, also have no idea if that's actually true, and his names is pretty much a list of every pro player you can think of on Steam, so yeah, no clue at all. Gyrocopter will follow up the Tusk for Aspera, already some really top tier heroes being picked up on either side, and then Aspera ban out a Luna. That's pretty interesting.
Well, Sqreen Squad, they do like their aggressive strategies. It's most of the time for Sqreen Squad, most of the time for the teams that are still left in this pool, it's going to be a very tempo-based, aggressive style, and you'll have some games occasionally where they both happen to slow things down because they're unable to actually get the job done with that tempo style, but Luna is definitely one of those heroes that really lends her entire team to that early mid-game pushing strategy. Some people say that she's just a worse gyrocopter, but she pushes a lot harder than a gyro, and Eclipse on a single target basis is a lot more dangerous than a call down.
That said, Luna isn't that great inside the clumped up fights until she gets a lot of damage items, which doesn't happen until later, and Sqreen Squad combination right now really does excel in those 5 versus 5 engagements. They'd much rather have the gyrocopter on their side, and I think Luna probably could have been left into the pool till a little bit later on. It would be interesting to hear exactly what Aspera had in mind with that ban, but as far as the other heroes that have been taken out, Blood Secret, Naga Siren, and Storm Spirit have hit the bin.
So, yeah, Naga Siren and Storm Spirit. Sqreen Squad definitely scared about being initiated upon. Storm Spirit just with his classic ball lightning, and then, of course, Naga Siren, if you are a little bit clumped up, you can get very, very punished. Winter Wyvern's Curse does come out pretty quickly, but Darkseer won't be able to get any of his spells off reliably if there's any sort of follow-up there from Aspera. So, I like the bans coming out from both sides. It is, them maybe fearing the enemy's style just a little bit more than usual, but that's completely fine. Ooh, Sqreen Squad gonna grab an Elder Titan again. They did do this yesterday, but this time, I'm not sure how much I like it with a Darkseer and Wyvern.
I like it with the Darkseer, and it can set up for some really nice Winter's Curses, but yeah, I think the Sqreen might be favoring this Elder Titan a little too much, and at the very least, leave it till later on in the draft. I guess the benefit of Sqreen picking up the Elder Titan here, and it's probably for Sqreen himself, is that it's going to be their other support, so it doesn't tell too much about their strategy as a whole, but it seems that they're really partial to this ET pick.
Yeah, so it is something that we haven't even seen from them in the beginning of this tournament. It was really in just yesterday they started doing this. I don't know, maybe something happened, maybe Sqreen had some sort of revelation about this hero, but yesterday they ran it with a Vengeful Spirit and a Luna Gyrocopter in the tri lane. No, it was Wraith King. It It was Wraith King. And it was really good because they had all the stun follow-up, so that Elder Titan was actually able to stick on these enemies with the Spirit and actually keep on laying in with that extra damage. The difference here is that Elder Titan is going to be played with a friendly support Wyvern, which is, going to be that little bit of a lighter support, doesn't really do that much damage, not as bursty, at least compared to a Vengeful Spirit. So Elder Titan may struggle to actually do as much damage as he did in the last game. Really, Sqreen Squad's heroes before this Elder Titan aren't really high damage heroes, so the aura, though it's going to be certainly very nice, isn't really going to be super impressive.
Yeah. They'd like to have something else to benefit from that aura, at least until later on. But another big part about the Elder Titan pick in the game that we saw earlier was the stomp setup into the Darkseer's vacuum. And if you just catch any sort of stomp on multiple targets, you can very easily start a team fight in a great way for a Sqreen Squad. So although the lanes are going to be quite passive, and they very well might be from Aspera too, since they don't pick up this Crystal Maiden, usually you'll see here inside the woods for the first 5 minutes or so of the game. Yeah, it does have its window, so we'll have to see if Sqreen Squad are able to hit that. To follow up, the Elder Titan pick is a Wind Ranger for Sqreen Squad.
So obviously this Sqreen Squad draft looking pretty different, a little bit out of the ordinary, but Aspera also grabbed a fairly early Crystal Maiden, and this is, Maiden with a whole bunch of other supports still available since Sqreen have not really gone for those S+ tier supports. Crystal Maiden with Gyrocopter with Tusk is definitely a significant threat. If she is actually able to capitalize off of a friendly hero's aggression, Crystal Maiden getting levels is so hard for Sqreen Squad to deal with. Extra Frostbite to deal with the Darkseer and the Wind Ranger, that's just a pain in the ass. And of course the nuking damage from a Freezing Field or a Nova is nothing to scoff at either. It is, of course, going to be up to those heroes to get themselves into said aggressive position, but Crystal Maiden, with really any other support hero that adds any sort of damage, Shaker, for some reason, is still in the pool, would let Aspera just roam around the map very freely and just keep applying pressure to Sqreen Squad's lanes.
And even if the Crystal Maiden doesn't play aggressively, having that extra mana on a Gyrocopter and Tusk especially is absolutely amazing. Being able to spam out a couple extra Ice Shards in lane for the Tusk will give him more control, and Gyrocopter's damage kit is pretty mana light when you look at Rocket Barrage and Call Down, so just any bit of sustain will let him spend that up very liberally. Silencer, the next pick for Aspera, probably going to be their mid laner. Right now, I think it's a great pick. Stops the Winter Wyvern follow-up, or the Darkseer follow-up to any Elder Titan stomp, should that be necessary. So I think defensively it's a good pick, and we've seen how well a Silencer can snowball if given the space.
And Sqreen Squad did struggle to deal with the enemy Silencer yesterday. May just be, happenstance. The draft was, it was maybe just a good environment for the Silencer, but it also might just be their team as a whole not really accustomed to this hero just yet. So keep your eyes open for that. If this Templar Assassin to be banned out, it seems like Sqreen think that the Silencer is not going to be going towards the mid lane. However, I think that's probably the safest assumption right now. The biggest weakness of this is that he doesn't really contribute all that much should Crystal Maiden +1 actually want to rotate in and gank, say, the mid lane Wind Ranger, but Silencer, as I said, definitely has a lot of upside with what Sqreen Squad are currently working with. They're working with kind of a slow setup that Silencer will be able to just put an instant stop to, and with Global Silence, then you snowball in with a Gyrocopter, and you have a Freezing Field as backup, Sqreen will just have to run. And yeah, their heroes aren't really the slowest, but without Surge and without Wind Run, it's going to be a lot slower for them to get out of there.
Yeah, the combination of Global Silence plus Freezing Field is absolutely terrifying if it catches Sqreen in an awkward spot. They have no heroes that are going to be natural BKB carriers, at least early. Windrunner eventually will, but she'd much rather get like Blink, Aghanim, Daedalus, something along those lines before actually committing for the Black King bar. As far as the fifth pick for either team, I think we're both on the same page for Aspera. It should be like an offlaner or support depending on how they want to lane the Tusk. But for Sqreen Squad, ooh, it's going to be a Huskar. I love this pick. Aspera don't have a lot of physical damage. They have the pure damage from Glaive, so if Silencer gets off the ground, could be very annoying for the Huskar. But there's going to be quite a large window where this Huskar isn't really answered that well, if he does well in the lane.
So now we see the damage heroes coming out from Sqreen Squad to really try to complement with this Elder Titan. And these damage heroes are going to be hitting pretty hard, but an instant Ancient Apparition snag up there from Aspera. I'm going to shove the Silencer over towards that mid lane as we were expecting him to go towards. And, well, Ancient Apparition versus Huskar, if you guys haven't played that before, it's absolutely miserable for a Huskar. Not that fun. But the good thing is for Huskar is that there is going to be a large window in this game where Huskar is being Huskar and Ancient Apparition does not have Ice Blast because this hero typically doesn't get a whole lot of experience. So Sqreen Squad will have that opening, but yeah, this Huskar, even with this Ancient Apparition now on the other end, is going to be just tearing through heroes from Aspera. Again, not much physical damage, and Glaze of Wisdom, though pure, is not something that the Silencer can rely on to get into a man fight with the Huskar and actually win. He's just not tanky enough.
This is going to be very interesting how Sqreen Squad are going to approach this game. Let's introduce our lanes and our teams. On the Radiant side is Sqreen. On the Elder Titan, Darkseer is going to be following him. 1, 2, 3 Vigos on the Darkseer. We're going to have the Huskar handled by Gardar. Windrunner is going to be played by ZXC, and last but not least, Winter Wyvern by King R.
And for Aspera, Afterlife is going to be playing his Tusk again. Got Undershock playing the Silencer with some weird icons. I don't think I've actually ever seen these before, but got Oblivion on the Gyrocopter. Arzeek following up the rear as the CM. And we got Star, still not sure who this is, on the Ancient Apparition. Combo of Ancient Apparition and CM. How powerful is that actually? It seems like it has potentially a lot of upside, but I feel like their lack of mobility, just like the 280 movement speed on CM, is really going to cut into their ability to get any kills.
Yeah, it makes it really hard, and they only have the Frostbite to hold the Darkseer in place. As long as Vigos keeps his distance, I think they should be fine in this off lane, but if that combination arises, it's a ridiculous amount of damage combined with the Gyrocopter's Rocket Barrage too. This is 3 ranged heroes with Chilling Touch and with Gyrocopter as one of them, so it's terrifying if the Darkseer gets caught. Bounty Runes looks like it's going to be 1-for-1 trade. Silencer and Windrunner should be the beneficiaries of said trade, and they'll both be going out to lane. Self will be running out to the Windrunner, and Silencer, as far as his items are concerned, exactly the same. So Self will also be walking out.
Silencer versus Wind Ranger, not a lineup that we see coming together all too often, simply because of the rarity of these heroes. Not super rare nowadays, but they're definitely getting a lot more common play. But it should be a rather even lane. We could already see Undershock grabbing that glaive just to look to get an arrow base damage advantage over ZXC. If they do start trading hits, I'm pretty sure the extra damage from Glaze of Wisdom is going to be about the same as this +1 armor on the Wind Ranger, give or take. So for the most part, it should be even damage trades, but it is going to be mostly a technical lane here until Sqreen shows up and gives ZXC that much more assistance. But man, Undershock still handling this lane really well. Just look at the damage he's putting out to ZXC.
Yeah, it's a really awkward rotation coming out from the Elder Titan in the mid lane. I'm not sure exactly what Sqreen wanted to accomplish there. The Silencer would have to get so out of position for him to be able to really get benefit from that extra damage. But Sqreen's going to bump into Crystal Maiden's jungle. If he can just steal the last hit on the Centaur Conqueror, that's extremely detrimental for the CM. She needs that CS, and I think the Elder Titan should be able to outdamage her. He'll even commit the Spirit for it, and fair enough too, is going to be able to punch Arzeek down with no boots. CM's probably going to have to Frostbite Sqreen and run, but already Arzeek's sent back to base more than likely, and Sqreen is not going to give up one more punch, and Arzeek is down to pretty critical amounts of HP.
I was going to mention it earlier, the CM matchup versus the Huskar is something that CM really doesn't want to deal with. She could Frostbite and run, but once you're actually going to take a life break, you're pretty much screwed from there on out. This is not exactly what I had in mind, but we can already see the power of this just natural counter. Just in lane, or in the early stages, let's say, Arzeek can't really do that much. Like, yeah, Frostbite is okay, but only level 1. You can definitely do a lot better if you're actually looking to get things done. Though they're actually going to go for Afterlife down towards bottom lane. Splinter Blast, couple of spears, he will survive. The CM doesn't really have any recourse to Elder Titan, who's moving at plus 100 movement speed over the CM. Like, she just has to try to run and try to get some CS to scrape together boots.
Yeah, and if Huskar holds his life break and doesn't get Frostbite before, it does purge off the Frostbite, so you have to be very careful when dealing with this hero. But wrap around with the hasted Elder Titan onto Undershock. He'll turn for the last word, and the damage onto Sqreen is going to be lethal, but not before the Silencer himself dies. ZXC drawing first blood, completely worth it for Sqreen Squad.
Oh, for sure. If the Silencer got that kill first, I mean, they obviously get the first blood, but also you don't get the intelligent swing this way. Here comes Arzeek, the slow CM. Can't she land the Frostbite? She will, but it will be lethal, actually. He did draw level 2 in the meantime with that pull up towards top lane, so CM returning kills now to level 3. Even though that Elder Titan play just really messed up her jungle rhythm, and they did lose their Silencer, Arzeek getting that kill and getting up to level 3 is substantial, and may even be worth it for Aspera in the long run.
A big issue for Aspera, however, is that across the lanes as a whole, they're not doing that well, and a stomp in mid will catch Undershock. Silencer's not going to be under any immediate threat here, but the CS advantage that Sqreen Squad have is pretty significant. Missile will connect onto Vigos, but the Darkseer should be able to run out if you're alive. The CM is way too slow and way too far out towards the left, but Huskar is out CSing the Gyrocopter. Darkseer is getting a good amount of farm, in fact, a lot more than the Silencer in mid, who, after having a pretty good early start, is really struggling. Yeah.
Not for long, perhaps. Chilling Touch not going up just yet. They're waiting for the Surge. They now put up the Chilling Touch. He hasn't cast the Surge, but it's too late. The Rocket Barrage comes in, and Darkseer is going to get put into a blender. That is not a good place to be. Ancient Apparition does need his experience, as does CM, which makes this, defensive tri-lane kind of greedy from Aspera, something that Sqreen Squad, in theory, could have abused, but at this point, it looks like it's a little bit too late for that. Darkseer really has to just be careful about getting wrapped around. If that happens, then he's pretty much dead, as we just saw, but we do have another lane in this game. Garter is on the bottom lane versus sometimes the Tusk really doesn't have to worry about this hero all too much. Looks like he's going to go straight for the armlet. Not the fastest build. Oh, Ancient Apparition caught in a corner. Not a good place for AA to be.
Yeah, just pincered between the Darkseer and the Elder Titan. So much damage from the Iron Shell at this point. 2 points into that is well more than what the Ancient Apparition can sustain, especially considering Surge is an amazing spell. There really wasn't much of a choice for him there. Yeah, the Tusk can't do anything about the Huskar. Even if the Tusk had sufficient levels, the Huskar is pretty difficult to deal with. They're going to go on mid. ZXC is going to be silenced on casting his win run. We'll be able to back off safely. There's 4 enemy heroes, although I don't think Sqreen Squad know it for sure. They haven't accomplished anything with this movement.
Keep in mind that Earthshaker was not touched in this draft phase, and Aspera picked CM rather highly. CM's problem, one of her biggest problems, is her lack of mobility. With only 330 movement speed with boots, there's no way that she actually reaches that Wind Ranger in time, whereas Shaker will reach her pretty much without question every single time. So we already see the weakness here of this CM, and we have yet to see her true strength come out. This Darkseer is... okay, he's going to teleport out. I was about to say, like, not a good place for him to be, but Huskar free farming, Gyrocopter free farming. Garter is going to get to his armlet pretty soon, and we have seen games where Huskar just takes over and then just pretty much instantly wins the game for his team once he grabs that armlet. It is going to be a little more difficult since Ancient Apparition is in the game, but Garter's getting to that terrifying spot really quickly.
Yeah, the window is going to close very quickly. I expect Huskar to be a very potent threat up until about 14 minutes or so, just based on the current leveling pace of the Ancient Apparition. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this game progresses. And Aegis Immortal could also change things for the Huskar, but regardless, he needs to get ahead. They're going to look for a stomp, doesn't steal any of the CS, and doesn't really accomplish much of anything, but when it returns, should be giving the Elder Titan a good amount of damage. I think there's 2 points into the spell at the moment, but yeah, not going to be super relevant. Silencer's coming in from rotation in mid. They'll look for the Darkseer. He's going to run towards the north. I guess the best case scenario for Darkseer is he dies out of range of the Silencer, and he will do that. Huskar's going to jump in, going for Arzik. Will be bitten up after the life break. The call down's onto the ground. Arzik should be very comfortable here, and Garter's going to be right-click down. An absolute disaster for Sqreen Squad. As Aspera get everything. The Crystal Maiden is going to burn low, but survives on 42 HP.
And Silencer grabs 2 stacks of those intelligence points. He has used Global Silence there, and well, once that happens again for Sqreen Squad, there's really not much alternative. Huskar teleporting in there, a little bit questionable, mostly because he was all alone, also because he doesn't quite yet have his armlet. The difference between Huskar with and without armlet is absolutely night and day. Before he actually gets that item, he's not able to life break, if he's not able to actually burst down Undershock, then the Glaives of Wisdom, they're not hitting super hard at this stage. They're only like, what, plus 20 or something like that? 50%, yeah, plus 20 something, plus 25. It is still enough, and we have so many heroes right-clicking the Huskar. He really does need that armlet's extra survivability, just extra health, to help him get into those scenarios and survive. So it's Aspera to claim a pretty clean win up on that top lane, just with having more heroes there. Also the Darkseer, not exactly starting that fight off at tip-top condition.
No, he was pretty much caught out. I think Vigos was dead there no matter what, and the Darkseer didn't lose intelligence there, so at least there's some silver lining. It could have gone worse for Sqreen Squad, but as a whole, I think Aspera will be happy with that trade. Stomp in mid will connect onto Undershock, but no follow-up. There's going to be some casual harass coming out from Sqreen. At this point, I don't even think that's worth it. That's an extra spirit that he can't throw out mana-wise.
This is going to be a little bit of a hiccup here for the Sqreen Squad aggression. We already said that Huskar, his window is certainly here in this game, but it's not as large as it ordinarily is because Ancient Apparition, he is not only in this game, but he's also getting involved in these kills. So down towards bottom lane, ZXC going to get hit with the snowball. Here comes the missiles. Missile 1 going to land. Missile 2, not quite, but the Glaive will get the kill anyway. They're going to try to teleport out with King R. No more cancellations. And there will be just 1 kill for Aspera. Could have been, again, a lot worse for Sqreen Squad, but the rotations are already coming out from Aspera. It's going to give the Silencer that extra bit of intelligence. Even weird to see the Gyrocopter roam out of that top lane, but while he's off lane, Star is in lane, and he's closing onto that level 6 mark very quickly, as is our Zeke. The levels on CM not to be underestimated.
Yeah, just a couple minutes ago, the Ancient Apparition was super far behind, only level 3, if I'm not mistaken. But after those fights up top and after the space that they've given him, I really like this choice. Mid lane is going to be a last row on the Elder Titan, but not too much follow-up. There's TP's bottom. The Windrunner wants to get involved and punish this Gyrocopter for roaming, but as far as safe lane heroes that can make that sort of rotation, Gyrocopter is pretty high on the list. The amount of damage he brings to the table is enormous.
Yeah, just without using any of his skills, and I mean, with using all of his skills compared to Huskar, who will need to use all of his skills and will need to stay in those fights for a very long time with that burning spears. The Huskar will eventually get to a point. In fact, very soon he'll get to a point where he'll be able to, teleport wherever and contribute a hell of a lot. But Gyrocopter is doing that right now, and this is freeing up a lot of space up on this top lane. Ancient Apparition CM not exactly great versus the Darkseer, especially Darkseer, who's going to straight TP out from that Ice Blast. But crucially, the Ice Blast is up, and Armlet on Huskar, the main strength of it is that you can keep at 400, between 1 and 400 HP. Therefore, you get maximum value for Berserker's Blood. When you have Armlet on and when you get hit with an Ice Blast, it feels so bad.
Yeah, you're pretty much dead. The kill threshold when you have Armlet on is about half of your HP or something like that. Especially as Ancient Apparition will be farming towards a Hand of Midas, it seems, or even just a fast Aghanim Scepter. If an Aghanim Scepter Ice Blast lands on a Huskar, he can't do anything about it. He needs to get out as fast as possible. Arzeek's going to chase forward. They'll look for the Nova, and it is going to slow down Huskar. Ice Shards will bump him back into the Secret Shop, but Garter is still cut off from the rest of his team. Afterlife's there with the Snowball, Point Blank Rage, Global Silence. They can't do anything. He'll pop the Armlet, but he can't fight through this. Too much damage. Silencer will kill him off, and now they look for another. Ice Blast is too late to the party, but doesn't even matter. Triple Stomp can't be followed up. The Windrunner would be left with the Elder Titan against almost an entire enemy team, minus the Ancient Apparition, but he's already dropped his contribution. They'll continue chasing forward. Windrunner should be able to get back, but yeah, the Silencer gets a huge boon there, and Huskar's window is closing fast.
That was even without Ice Blast. I thought the Ice Blast would get there in time, but as strong as Huskar is, 1v4 like that, I don't think any hero is actually capable of doing that, no matter what their farm at this stage in the game. So it is going to be a pick-off on the Huskar, and still without the biggest tool. It is Star standing on top lane. He's going to get hunted down by the Huskar, but I think he's just fast enough to get out of here, unless there's a surge on Huskar. Ancient Apparition is so close to his Midas. He's going to try to TP out. Vacuum is going to cancel it, but they're already leaving because Afterlife is coming in. Gotta respect that Tusk. The shards are not going to connect. Ice Blast should connect. Snowball's going to go through onto the Darkseer, punched up into the air. I don't know if he's going to shatter from this. In fact, it looks like he will. Guard is going to try to go for Afterlife, but miss toggles because of that freeze effect on him. He will get the kill on the Tusk in the end, but it's Star to grab a double kill and Midas, 3-11. And Aspera seems like they have this game on lockdown.
An 11-minute Midas for an offlaner is a pretty good timing, and in fact, Star's net worth is almost the same as the Huskar's. This is an incredible amount of farm, considering Ancient Apparition's start. He's gone off like a rocket, and this is something that Sqreen Squad can't really afford to have happen, especially since their Windrunner isn't doing as well as she needs to make up for the fact that, effectively inside these fights, Sqreen Squad are down a hero, unless the Ice Blast completely misses, and unless Garter finds somebody isolated alone, which I don't think is a scenario that Sqreen Squad can reliably count on.
And this is happening due in large part to the fact that Gyrocopter is so powerful as, a quote-unquote carry hero, but he also can roam around and do a lot of damage, as we have seen. Like, he's 304. That is obviously a good score on any hero, but also it's left the Ancient Apparition so much time to get farm and get experience. Level 8 on this hero is a disgusting level for a support hero 12 minutes in. Compare that to level 6 in Elder Titan, which is actually pretty good, as is the Winter Wyvern, but he has a clean level advantage over both of them. CM is keeping more where the support should be, but a high-level Ancient Apparition, it's going to hurt a lot. Like, he's probably just going to go straight up Aghanim Scepter after this. I could see the value potentially of a Glimmer Cape instead, but either way, Hand of Midas working on this Ancient Apparition is, that in and of itself, something that Aspera are really going to struggle up against, especially now that they're smoked up again. Aspera are going to find Wind Ranger. The Nova is going to connect. Shards will be off the mark, however. Uncharacteristic from Afterlife to be missing those.
Yeah, he's had a couple that aren't perfect, and as you said, it is a little uncharacteristic, but I guess the silver lining is the Sparrow will be able to back off in time to get an Ancient stack, which will further accelerate the farm for their Gyrocopter, and Sqreen Squad can't really farm at the same pace. Their heroes aren't very good at flash farming. They're okay, but nothing Gyrocopter Luna-esque. They're going to look for a jump again on top, but the Ancient Apparition seems to be just tantalizingly close, but they can't actually jump him.
Even with Surge on the Huskar, if he does Life Break into Star, he knows that he's going to take a point-blank Ice Blast to the face, and with the armlet turned on, he may end up just going down. Snowball onto the Darkseer, feeling comfortable cutting the creep wave. He shouldn't. Ice Blast is going to connect, and Star's going to draw a dominating streak. The rest of the heroes from Sqreen Squad up on this top lane, well, they'll fall back knowing there's not much that they could do, but now 4-1-3 on the Ancient Apparition. Are you kidding me? He has 2,000 gold. This is by far the most farmed I've ever seen on an Ancient Apparition. He is now on top of all the Sqreen Squad heroes.
And almost neck and neck with his mid-silencer. It's actually disgusting how much farm that he's picked up. Smoke up coming out from Sqreen Squad. They need to get something from this. It's a lot of time used by the Huskar and Wyvern. They want to drop the Winter's Curse on somebody, anybody. Undershock would be a valuable target for them to go for, and they're going to catch the vision of him. They will jump in behind the tower, and it looks like he's going to go down. Global Silence will be thrown before, but the Shackle is already midair. Ice Blast is going to be over the top, and that might catch onto Garter. Garter's in a lot of trouble. Can't heal from his armlet, can't heal from that Cold Embrace, but he'll still be able to kill off Afterlife, and no follow-up damage, or maybe I spoke too soon. Gyrocopter's here, the freezing field. They'll catch out King R2, one shot from the Gyrocopter, and it's a 2-for-3 trade. They'll cancel Sqreen's TP. Scratch that 2-for-4. Aspera absolutely wiping the floor with Sqreen Squad, but that's a movement that they needed to make. Sqreen Squad needed to change something up, but 5-16, it's not working at all.
I still like the move there from Sqreen Squad. You try to get the kill, you take whoever you can get in the mid lane. The fact that it was Silencer just happened to be really good for them, but hell, if it was the CM, I'm sure they would have been really happy to get that and then get out. But Aspera, with that Ice Blast, with the Tusk arriving as well, yes, the Tusk did give his life for that, but they set up so much damage on the Huskar that, again, is unavoidable. The Embrace and Winter Wyvern usually going to be saving her allies for a little bit, not going to do anything versus the Huskar, versus the ice effect of that Ice Blast, and the Darkseer has his mech coming up, also isn't really going to be doing much when you literally can't heal anything because of that Ancient Apparition. So it's Aspera coming in with, again, the right heroes. Gyrocopter, level 2 cooldown at this point, and it's not even as if he's just doing nothing but roaming. He's also keeping up with the CS. 112, 15 minutes in, is a lot on any hero. He also has, 5, 0, and 7. That certainly doesn't hurt. He's going to clear out a pretty sizable Ancient stack after this, and for Sqreen Squad, they need to do, I think, pretty much exactly what they just did, except lose nobody next time.
Yeah, for sure. It's getting harder and harder for them. They need this Windrunner to become relevant, and ZXC is not doing bad, I'd say. He's doing just fine, but just fine doesn't cut it. Windrunner as a hero can completely go off like a shot, or she's kind of middling. In this game, unfortunately for Sqreen Squad, she's more towards the latter, and it doesn't feel like the plan is coming together as nicely as Sqreen Squad would have envisioned. Also, to add to the fact that Darkseer is going to get a mech soon, he has that flying out to himself. Crystal Maiden's less than 500 gold away from hers, and in contrast, a mechanism for Aspera's side is absolutely backbreaking. Sqreen Squad just don't have that great burst damage. A lot of it comes over time, either through focus fire or from Huskar's burning spears. But yeah, they don't really have the ability to get quick and easy kills without Aspera being able to react.
And it's 1 kill per minute right now for Aspera. Their mechanism is going to be coming up at around the same time as the enemy Darkseer, which is ridiculous to consider since Darkseer usually gets his mech before any other hero in Dota. Mid lane tier 1 will be probably destroyed. Maybe Aspera are able to get a deny out of this one. Oh, they do actually catch Sqreen on the south end. Ice Blast onto Garter as well. That'll first of all kill off the Elder Arzeek, looking for someone to nuke or something. But it looks like everyone else is going to disengage. It's Sqreen Squad suffering another casualty. Tower is in deny range, but Aspera are on the aggressive. Darkseer is going to get caught with the shards, surge around them. He'll be just fine. And that should just about be it. Up towards top lane, though. Garter going to dive forward for Undershock. TP out. The Silencer will take a lot of damage from this one, but he will be fine in the base. And still Aspera are looking in this mid lane. Well, Oblivion's going to right around the Darkseer. Now here come the shards and the call down. ZXC is going to avoid the call down completely, getting mech'd up as well. But Zarzeek now going to find him with the Frostbite. That's a dead Wind Ranger. Oblivion has to get out of this corner. Sqreen going to start using that stomp. We'll cancel Arzeek's freezing field. Here comes the Earth Splitter. Will do a lot of damage to Arzeek. Curse onto Afterlife as well. Neither of these two heroes are actually dying, however. Are they really going to get out of here? Sqreen trying to get the kill on the Tusk, but he'll get punched down and dropped. Oblivion still chasing after Vigos. Won't be able to get that one. We'll try to dodge Garter and will be successful in doing so. I can't believe no one on Aspera died there. What the hell?
That combination went almost perfectly for Sqreen Squad. You get the two-man splitter followed up by the Winter's Curse. But the Huskar couldn't commit. The Windrunner was already dead, and from there on out, nobody on Sqreen Squad has the sufficient damage. Sqreen Squad, this game is looking very close to over. The last thing I can see them going for is Roshan. Garter has enough gold to pick up a Morbid Mask, and I believe they have a smoke inside the shop for them to buy, and they do have one. But while that's happening, Aspera might as well just take it themselves. They have a DD on Silencer, and with Roshan falling, I think that's pretty much Sqreen Squad's hopes. How do they turn this around? It has to be a high ground defense, doesn't it?
It has to be some sort of ridiculous wombo combo. Like you said, it did land properly there from Sqreen Squad. They just had to have other heroes to actually add damage to that. Perhaps the Elder Titan, Darkseer, and Wyvern all going to team up next time. Like, the amount of wombo combo here from Sqreen Squad is real. And the follow-up, it is, not as much AoE as they would really like to take down the entire enemy team all at the same time. Very much single target base with the Wind Ranger and Huskar. The damage is definitely enough, the control is definitely enough, just the momentum is not in their favor, nor is the farm. The Ancient Apparition is now 2nd place in net worth. Don't ask how, he just is. And Oblivion's still doing very well. By the way, moving at almost max movement speed with the drum turned on. Even if Huskar does land a life break, it's going to take him very far away from the rest of his team, and he might not even get the kill because the Silencer also has a Force Staff. Mid lane tier 1 guaranteed to fall, and they're going to look for more. Force Staff onto Afterlife, they do see Sqreen. Shard's going to perfectly connect, and now with the Nova Punch, that's a dead Elder Titan. Someone's going to get this kill. There it is. It's Undershock to get the intelligence from that as well. And it's Sqreen Squad to lose yet another hero. This might just be too much. Like, the Aspera push is coming in, and I don't think Sqreen Squad can hold.
Close to record-breaking Aghanim Scepter timing on the Ancient Apparition, and it really goes to show how fast he's picking this up. This was not a farming hero. In fact, the CM was getting most of the farm priority up until the point where Ancient Apparition was put into the lane, Gyrocopter was roaming. But Aspera, this feels like a game that's mostly smooth sailing. They should respect the Sqreen Squad teamfight combination, and it looks like they will. But just swing up top, go for those pushes, take out the Ancients, control the enemy map. The bottom line is Sqreen Squad's heroes don't function that well from behind. And when their farming space is limited, there's really nothing they can do. They're going to place a very aggressive ward. They're going to bump the Darkseer, and it looks like Vigos is just dead. He's going to walk right into a bee's nest of enemy heroes and get blown sky high. Silencer's going to get the kill and the intelligence. Stomp going to miss. The Split Earth 2, Global Silence we committed. They want to kill off Garter. The Huskar's a little too far away, however, and it looks like Aspera, at least for now, have been repelled. Ice Blast only going to connect onto King R, but if they have any sort of damage on this Wyvern, in fact, that's an Aghanim's ulti. I think that's death. Well, fight breaks out on the other side. They'll be able to isolate our Zeke, but a nice snowball forward. Will our Zeke actually be able to survive? Max up the Crystal Maiden will live. No Stomp can come out. That's 3-0. And now they'll chase forward for Sqreen. That's going to be 4-0. And the Winter Wyvern, although she barely survives, it's a good game.
What a snowball from Afterlife. Just went right through the CM, who was definitely dead to the rights there if she didn't get any significant help. But, grab the CM, keep on rolling through, and then Huskar suddenly has no target. Like, his prey was CM. Huskar should be able to kill a Crystal Maiden every single time, but not this time. Obviously that didn't really matter too much since Aspera already had such a crushing lead in this game, and it is going to be a really early GG call, but man, what a convincing win from Aspera. And I think Sqreen Squad, their draft kind of pulled in two different directions. I feel like if you're going to pick up this Elder Titan, you really need to have some sort of aggressive follow-up to actually make use of his extra damage early on. And we'll see if they can actually grab that, guys, in Game 2. This is a best of 3. Winner moves on to face Yellow Submarine. I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by GrandisV. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for Game 2 in just a little bit.